honestly thinks that food prices are not going to go up. She thinks that this is the highest they're going to go. I tried to explain to her that that was not the case, that they're absolutely going to go up even more. And I told her there are things that like we have to buy. There's something we had to buy that 2 years ago cost us $24. Last year was about $46. This year it is costing us $96. Okay? Local farmer, 50 head of cattle. It's costing him $8,000 a month to feed them. Please understand, food prices are going to go up. You want to act like it's the farmer's fault. It is not the farmer's fault. We're barely making it to grow the stuff so you guys are able to get it in August, September, October. Okay? Guys, this is not going away. Stop sticking your head in the sand and thinking, oh, it's going to be okay. It's not going to fucking be okay.
All right, Shalom. I want to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. In grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. This is your fellow servant, Rakaya, from the GMS Orlando camp. And tonight, I wanted to go into a lesson through the Spirit on famine. All right, what it is and what are some factors that lead up to it. All right, Lord, when this is edifying unto you elect. All right, the reason why I wanted to go into this topic tonight is because it's very helpful for us that are hopefully elect and for those of us on our watchtower to know the different intricacies when it comes to prophecy. All right, because it gives us something to watch for. All right, because the majority of the prophecies that we read about on a daily basis aren't an overnight process. All right, they're a gradual process with things happening behind the scenes that lead up to them. All right, there's a process to famine. All right, to the MOTB, to the persecution of the Lord's elect, to Jacob's trouble, and so on and so forth. All right, and knowing a little bit of that process is helpful when it comes to watching. All right, because it gives us something to watch for. We know what to watch for. You know, we know the different processes to watch for. We know the different events to watch for. All right, when it concerns the prophecies. You know, so without further ado, we're just going to hop straight into it. Lord, when this is edifying unto you elect. All right, but I want to start off with this precept here before we go any further. In Hebrews chapter 4, in verse 2, it reads, "For unto us was the gospel preached, as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it." All right, and the reason why I brought this out is because our belief on the prophecies, all right, is solely based on our faith. All right, the things that we read on a daily basis, all right, profit us only when mixed with faith. All right, knowing the different intricacies of prophecy is helpful, but it's not needful, if you get what I'm trying to say. All right, you shouldn't need to know the intricacies of every little detail, you know, concerning prophecy to believe in it. All right, your faith alone should allow you to believe in these prophecies. All right, and that's the only way they're going to profit you at the end of the day anyways. All right, that's the only way any of these precepts that we read on a daily basis is going to profit you. All right, only if it's mixed with faith. You know, faith has to be the forefront of everything that we read, of everything that we do in this truth of ours. You know, but with that being said, let's jump straight into it. All right, now I have this article here from reliefweb.int. All right, and we're going to start off in this paragraph right here that's highlighted. All right, it reads, "The warning signs of famine are always the same. Regular rainfall has ceased and crops have gradually withered or failed to appear." Now, I have this map pulled up from dropmonitor.unl.edu. All right, and it's a map released on June 30th, 2022, this year, the year of the Lord's turn up. All right, and it's a map of the U.S., all right, and the droughts that are happening across the 50 states. All right, now, when you get the ledger, all right, white means no drought, yellow means abnormally dry. This, I don't know what color that is, khaki means moderate dry, orange means severe drought, red means extreme drought, and that darker red means exceptional drought. All right, now when we look at this map, seeing that, you know, we're here in Florida. All right, when you go north of Florida, All right, we see that there's some moderate drought, some abnormally dry and moderate drought happening a little bit north here in Florida. Now, when you go to the west, all right, towards Texas and towards California, all right, those states toward the west, we see that it's some extreme drought, all right, happening. It's some exceptional drought happening over there, and that's due to the lack of rainfall, all right, and that's due to the increase of these wildfires that's been happening ever since this whole pandemic kicked off 2 years ago. All right, it's been causing a heavy drought here in America, all right, which has been causing a lot of crops to fail as well. You know, it says the warning signs of famine are always the same. Regular rainfall has ceased, and crops have gradually withered or failed to appear. All right, and we hear time in and time out, newsline in and newsline out, you know, of the crop failure that's happening not only here in America, but across the globe. All right, due to whether it be famine or due to abnormal weather conditions, especially here in America. All right, it's been causing a lot of the crops to fail. All right, and which crops are essential when it comes to food. All right, we need crops in order to harvest food. You know, so it says the warning signs of famine are always the same. Regular rainfall has ceased, and crops have gradually withered or failed to appear. And this is a part of prophecy as well. All right, this is 2 Esdras 15. The point is in verse 13, but I'm going to start at verse 5. All right, we're going to jump down to the point. It reads, "Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Why? For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Therefore, saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more such in their wickedness which they profanely commit. Neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually." All right, jumping down to the point. Picking up that verse, back up at verse 11. "But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof." All right, and America is the modern day Egypt, spiritual Egypt. All right, the place of bondage for you Israelites, which consists of you so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos, and so-called Native American Indians. All right, America is the modern day Egypt. All right, look at the back of your dollar bill. All right, look at the different monuments that have been erected in Washington, the obelisk. All right, look at the different gods that are worshipped here. All right, all have a resemblance of the kingdoms that came before it. All right, Egypt, all right, Rome, Greece, Persia. All right, America is an accumulation of all the kingdoms that ruled before it. All right, and Egypt is one of the kingdoms that it mimics. All right, and the Lord said what? Verse 11 again, "But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof." All right, and the Lord is striking Egypt, this new Egypt, with plagues as before. All right, the same plagues that happened to ancient Egypt are happening here in America. All right, and famine was a part of the plagues that hit ancient Egypt. All right, as well as pestilence on the cattle, but we're going to get to that in a second, Lord willing. But it says, Egypt as before, verse 12, "Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Heavenly Father shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation." All right, and those that are tilling the ground, all right, the farmers, okay, they're mourning. All right, they're mourning. Why? Because their seeds are failing. All right, there's a drought going on. All right, you have a man-made, manufactured famine, all right, being engineered in the background by these different elites who are buying up all the farmland, all right, who are destroying the crops purposely. All right, it says, "They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with the fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein." All right, so jumping back into this article, it says, "Regular rainfall has ceased, and crops have gradually withered or failed to appear. Food prices soar as shortages spread." All right, what are we seeing? All right, we're seeing in the midst of this inflation, all right, we're seeing food prices soar. All right. Why? Because there isn't the supply doesn't meet the demand. All right. There isn't enough food, all right, to meet the demand that these grocery stores have. So these grocery stores are driving up the food prices. All right. And also, when it comes to these farmers, all right, they aren't making enough profit to sustain their cattle, all right, to sustain their crops, which is taking a toll on the food industry, all right, because these farmers are needful when it comes to food production. They're the ones that produce the crops. They're the ones that raise the cattle, all right, slaughter the cattle so that it's able to end up in the grocery stores for people to pick up. All right, but now they aren't able to sustain their livestock. All right, Lord will not be able to insert a clip. All right, but these farmers are struggling, which is in turn going to lead to the people struggling. These prices being driven up. All right, just as prophecy says. Let me see. Let's get this in 2nd Esdras, chapter 16. In verse 21, it says, "Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion." All right, and victuals, right now are somewhat cheap. All right, you can still go to a fast food restaurant. You can still get you a 4 for $4. You can still get you a meal for the family. All right, a 10-piece wing, combo. Feed the whole family for a couple of days or for the day. Or go to Walmart, get you a couple of packs of chicken, for a couple of dollars and then feed the fam. It's victuals are somewhat cheap, still somewhat cheap here. So people think themselves to be in a good case. But little do they know that evils, all right, are growing upon the earth behind the shadows. All right, evils are growing upon the earth behind the scenes. All right, and these farmers is a telltale sign that these evils are growing. All right, that famine is growing. All right, because little do these people know, all right, these farmers have a huge impact on the food industry. A huge impact on the food industry. But the average American doesn't know that. The average American thinks that, food is just going to be in abundance forever. Without taking into play the factors that it takes in order for that food to end up on the shelves for them to buy. It says, "For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish with famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy." All right. And a lot of people are getting ready to perish of the famine. All right. This up and coming famine. It says, "Food prices soar as shortages spread. Long lines for basic staples spring up in cities," which we've been seeing, all right, ever since the start of this pandemic. All right. Basic staples is toilet paper, hand sanitizer, toothbrushes, water, gas. All right, all these things people have been waiting in long lines for, because of the scarcity. It says, "Long lines for basic staples spring up in cities while rural families hunt for edible roots and grasses. Herders watch their animals die slowly in front of them. Their savings, really as animals, represent accumulated wealth." All right. It says, communities exposed to frequent water shortages resort to time-tested coping strategies. Families use water sources normally reserved for animals. Result, illnesses and some deaths from contaminated water. This is when famine begins. All right, and that's it on that article. If you want to read some more of it, this is the title of the article. And the website is reliefweb.int. And we're going to jump into the second article. All right, it says, this is from the pubmed.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov. All right. And it reads, famines are sustained extreme shortages of food among discrete populations sufficient to cause high rates of mortality. Signs and symptoms of prolonged food deprivation include loss of fat, subcutaneous tissue, loss of fat and subcutaneous tissue, depression, apathy, and weakness, which progress to immobility and death to the individual, often from superimposed respiratory or other infections. And this is why the scriptures say that it'd be better to die by the sword than by famine. All right, because famine is a slow death. All right, famine is a slow, tedious death, and you feel every inch of it. You know, whereas you get cut down with the sword, that's a momentary thing. You know what I mean? You may feel some sharp pain and then it's over with. But with famine, that lasts for days, weeks, months. All right, it's a slow process, and you slowly begin to pine away. This is Lamentations 4 and verse 9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for the want of the fruits of the field. All right, and the majority of the people on this earth are getting ready to pine away. All right, for the lack of food, man. Especially 2/3 of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man. All right, this this famine, all right, this up and coming famine is gonna hit you Israelites hard, man. Because you already the families of the Israelites already don't have enough food in the houses, man. You know, the average Israelite household is living check to check already. They don't have enough to stack up. They don't have enough to store up and have them a little storage of food and whatnot. You know, they live in check to check, meal by meal. So this famine gonna hit them hard, man. All right, needful so, need be. All right, because 2/3 of our people are wicked as hell, man. They refuse to return to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. You know, they refuse to acknowledge the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son. You know, therefore they become a disease not only to themselves but to the world, and they gotta be cut off, man. You know, it says they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for the want of the fruits of the field. Now, going back, it says the social consequences of famines are disruption from mass migrations of people in search of food, breakdown of social behavior, abandonment of cooperative effort, loss of personal pride and sense of family ties, and finally, a struggle for individual survival. And this is why the scripture says it's going to be sedition among men. You know, a part of the reason why the scripture says there's going to be sedition among men. All right, men shall invade one another for the lack of bread. All right, because when people are hungry, they resort to any means possible to feed their vessels, man. All right, they become true demons, man. This is 2 Ezra 15 in verse 19. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right, right there. All right, right there. Well, exactly what we're reading is a part of prophecy. All right, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right, and that camaraderie is going out the window, man. All right, that love for the fellow man is going out the window. You know, them family ties, that's going out the window. All right, when that stomach start touching these people's backs, all that shit is going out the window. And they're going to get it by any means possible. Family members or not. It says, let me see, I lost my place. Let me pick back up where I left off. Right here. The social consequences of famines are disruption from mass migrations of people in search for food, breakdown of social behavior, abandonment of cooperative effort, loss of personal pride and sense of family ties, and finally, a struggle for individual survival. Famines have been common ever since the development of agriculture made human settlements possible. Food shortages due to crop failures caused by natural disasters, including poor weather, insect plagues, and plant diseases. Crop destruction due to warfare and enforced starvation as a political tool are by no means the only causative factors. All right, and food shortages due to these crop failures by natural disasters. All right, we see these natural disasters, these wildfires. All right, these heat waves. Okay, these tsunamis over there in China are washing away a huge part of their crop sector. Let me see. Where's I at? Right here. Insect plagues, all right, which we've seen. I believe that was last year, sometime last year. All right, where the Lord sent a plague of locusts. All right, which was another plague that hit Egypt. One of the plagues that hit Egypt. All right, ancient Egypt. It says in plant diseases, crop destruction due to warfare, and enforced starvation as a political tool are by no means the only causative factor. All right, and right now we're seeing the onset of enforced starvation. All right, manufactured famine. All right, coming from the elites of Esau, Edom. All right, in order to sway the people to agree with their agenda. All right, to agree with their NWO. All right, we're seeing this this manufactured famine. All right, being played out in the midst. It says, many of the worst famines have been due to poor distribution of existing food supplies, either because of the iniquities that result in a lack of purchasing power on the part of the poor, or because of the political interference with normal distribution or relief movements of food. Europe and Asia, which in the past experienced frequent severe famines, sometimes with deaths in the hundreds of thousands or millions, have now largely eliminated famines through social and technological change. Yada, yada, yada. Jumping down, all right, to this last sentence. Last two sentences, three sentences. Thus, famines are due to the varying combinations of inadequacy of food supplies for whatever reason, and the inability of populations to acquire food because of poverty, civil disturbances, or political interference. Despite the role of natural causes, the conclusion is inescapable that modern famines, like most of those in history, are man-made. All right, and that's exactly what we're seeing. All right, and we've seen this before. All right, this has happened before, especially to the nation of Israel. This is 2 Kings chapter 6 and verse 24. And it came to pass after this that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his hosts and went up and besieged Samaria. All right, and right now what we're seeing and experiencing is a modern day siege. All right, these what an ancient siege is. All right, is you would have an army, all right, who would encamp about the enemy army's camp or their base. All right, and they wouldn't let anything in or anything out. No food in, no food out. No water in, no water out. All right, no people in and no people out. All right, which in turn would over time cause a famine to happen in that camp that's being besieged. All right, because if no food is allowed in, people can't eat. All right, if no people are allowed out, then they can't go and search for food. All right, and this is the same exact thing that happened. All right, back in this time, is happening now. All right, but in a different way. All right, these elites are taking control over the different avenues of food production. All right, they're taking control over the way that people are able to acquire food, to acquire resources. All right, which is in turn a siege. It says, and there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it, until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. A donkey's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, 80 pieces of silver, and the forepart of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. All right, Dove's ship was going for 5 pieces of silver, and we approaching these very same times, man. All right, we're approaching these very same times. The scripture's saying, Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9, there's nothing new under the sun. The same thing that happened in the ancient world is the same thing that's getting ready to happen in this modern day world, all right, but on a larger scale, because the scriptures say that we're coming into a time that has never before been seen since there was a nation, pursuant to Daniel 12 and 1. All right, and the famine that's getting ready to touch down on the earth, all right, in these up and coming days is going to be worse than any famine that we've ever experienced, especially here in America. Because these people aren't used to fasting. They aren't used to going without. These people are used to 4 square meals a day. You know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks in between, man. So when all this is cut off, these people gonna bug the hell out, man, to the highest extent. But let's see. It says, despite the role of natural causes, the conclusion is inescapable that modern famines, like most of these in history, are man-made. All right, and another thing to pay attention to regarding this man-made famine, all right, or this engineered famine that's happening, is the destruction of cattle. All right, that's been taking place throughout these past couple of years. All right, the elites have been paying farmers to destroy livestock, to destroy crops, all right, which is all a ploy, all right, which is all a factor in this modern day siege that's happening, which is all a factor in the famine that's getting ready to play out here in America. All right, now as you can see in this picture, all right, here's a list of all the livestock deaths. All right, well, not all of them, but some of the major livestock deaths that's been taking place throughout the year. All right, and as you can see, it says at the top, 4/21/22, plane crashes into and destroys General Mills. All right, the day after that, 197,000 turkeys destroyed in Minnesota. All right, and so on and so forth. You go down the list. All right, you get down to 4/29/22, a million chickens, over 1 million chickens destroyed at farm in Weld, Colorado. You know, and so on and so forth. You know, you have all these chickens being killed off, turkeys being killed off. All right, and a lot more livestock being killed off. All right, in the midst of this man-made famine. So, no, you know, those are things to pay attention to as well. But with that being said, that's all I really had to say tonight. Little ones edifying unto you elect. Shalom.